What's up, Internet? It's your boy Tanku, and today we're gonna be doing a subscriber requested video, which kind of aligns up with what I want to do anyways, because I want to talk about this subject anyways. But before we do, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the videos, hit me up on the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagrams. Send me an invite. I will definitely follow or accept the friend invites from you. And with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so a subscriber requested I talk about this. Some of you might be familiar with it. Most of you should be familiar with it. But for the younger generation, I understand if you haven't heard of it. I'm going to be talking about Akira. The reason why is a subscriber asked me how it impacted me growing up. And, of course, how do I feel about it today? So I actually watched it last night so I can have it fresh in my mind. And they did want me to go on a little bit about the differences between the manga versus the movie, because this is an actual movie, anime movie. So for a quick rundown, Akira came out in 1988. It was directed and written by Katsuhiro Otomo, who is also the author of the manga. So not only did he write the manga, but he also directed and wrote the movie. Which is pretty much unheard of at the time. And the reason why Akira is so well regarded, and I'm not going to use this term lightly, Akira is a masterpiece. For the time when it came out, the animation on it was absolutely beautifully drawn and everything like that, and it just blew people's minds. Now, when the movie came out, the manga was only about halfway done. So the manga and the movie vary wildly, because the movie really only goes to about the halfway point of the manga. And then, of course, it continues on, and there's a lot of different things. And so, what is this movie about? What the heck's the big deal? Why did it do this? Well, growing up as a kid, I watched, the Robotech, the Voltron, Ronin Warriors, Dragon Ball, things like that growing up, on the network TV in the morning times when they played some of this stuff. When I got to high school in the 90s, I kind of fell off of anime a little bit, because that's when I started playing sports, football, wrestling, and became captains of these respective teams. And back in the day, it wasn't cool to be a nerd, and it wasn't cool to like anime, so I kind of dropped off. That's just kind of how it was. However, my senior year, I was, in the mall hanging out, because that's what we did back in the day. We hung out in malls because there wasn't much else to do. The internet wasn't prevalent back then. And we had a lot of things. We had, Sam Goodies, things like that. But a big thing in the malls were Suncoast videos. And Suncoast was known for having a lot of anime. And Suncoast would plaster Akira, in the 90s, plaster Akira everywhere, because that's when it got big out here in the US. It was in the 90s. So I bought myself a copy, and I watched it, and it brought me back into the fold of anime. It reminded me of how much I loved anime and why I loved it so much. And so that brought me back in. I did watch it last night, and so I can give you guys a quick recap of it, or a quick synopsis, because if you haven't seen Akira, I don't know what's wrong with you. You should watch Akira. Everybody, any anime fan on this planet needs to watch Akira, because again, this movie is responsible for so much, bringing anime to the US and making it mainstream in the US. I mean, if there was no Akira, I really do not know if anime would be as popular as it is today, because that's how important Akira is to anime, especially in the US. And it was big in Japan too. It's huge in Japan too. So, basically, in the movie, World War III happens, and Japan is devastated by World War III. And so the movie's set in 2019, which is set 30 years after World War III. And it's called Neo Tokyo. It's very noir, cyberpunk-ish. Really cool. There's a biker gang led by Kaneda Sotaru. And if you watch it in Japanese, it sounds like Canada, but it's Kaneda. And then in his biker game, you have his best friend is Tetsuo Shimo, and Tetsuo kind of has a complex, because Kaneda has the best bike in the gang. If you ever see the picture of the dude with the red jacket and the red bike, that's Akira. And the red bike is like a big focal point of the anime too. Tetsuo gets a little jealous, things like that. So anyways, you find out what actually happens. There's a lot of stuff going on. You find out the government's been running experiments on people to have them have psychic abilities, and so that's basically what it's about. Tetsuo ends up getting captured by the government because he was in a bike accident, and they tap in and they give him psychic powers, and he just keeps growing stronger, but as he does, he starts going crazy a little bit and starts abusing his power because he has all this power now, so he's like, I can do whatever I want, and all hell breaks loose. There's a lot of supporting characters in there. Kai, who's one of the main girls and Kaneda's love interest, she has a big part too, because apparently in the world, everybody can get psychic ability. They just have to unlock it, but it depends on how powerful they are, things like that. And then there's Kaori, who's big important because, like, in the movie, she is kind of Tetsuo's kind of ish girlfriend, and kind of what pushes him over the edge is because he's kind of weak and couldn't protect her at one point in the movie. So I mean, that kind of puts a strain on people. And then there is a funny bit here. It's a very quick blurb in the movie, but Lady Miyoko, who's big in the manga, she's very prevalent in the manga. She's like in one or two scenes in the anime, but when they translated to English, things got mixed up. And if you watch the English dub, she's voiced by a dude, so everybody thinks she's a girl. I mean, everybody thinks she's a man when she's actually a girl, because her name's Lady Miyako. Way more prevalent in the manga than in the anime, because again, the anime movie was made about halfway through the manga. So basically, Tetsuo starts going crazy and starts destroying shit. Or a curse, so that's gonna happen. And the city goes under martial law. All the military is coming up, but they can't stop him because he's so powerful. He's doing all this stuff. And then the movie's basically about his showdown with Kaneda, trying to stop him, who's his best friend. But Tetsuo always had this chip on his shoulder when it came to Kaneda, even though they were best friends. And so about their fight, what happens, everything gets destroyed. There's a lot going on. There's more characters in it, of course, but I don't want to mention here. And then you have your showdown, your ending, and then they end the movie. The manga goes further, and there's a lot of differences between the movie and the manga, because especially when it comes to Akira, because they were like, who the hell is Akira? Akira's kind of worshipped, and the cause of what happened during World War III, why Tokyo went from being Tokyo to Neo Tokyo, and very, very worshipped, kind of like as a god, because he was the most powerful psychic ever that pretty much destroyed Tokyo. Why you get Neo Tokyo, that's mentioned in the beginning. Very different he's represented very differently in the movie than he is in the manga, because it goes very different. And the final showdown, obviously it's in the manga, not in the movie, the way they did it. The final showdown in the movie isn't really the final showdown because the manga continues, but that's the way it works because it's a movie. They needed an ending to it, and the manga's only halfway through. So if you want to see the real differences, because in the real differences, Tetsuo is not as sympathetic as he is in the movie. They made him pretty sympathetic in the movie, with the childhood and his friendship with Kaneda, stuff like that. He's not very sympathetic in the manga at all. And the Kari is not really kind of his pseudo girlfriend like she is in the movie. She's in it, but in a completely different way, so I don't want to ruin that. And then, of course, Lady Miyako is way more prevalent in the actual manga than she is in the movie. But again, like I said, the reason why we're talking about it is because what Akira did for anime. So what I want you guys to do is, the movie's about 2 hours long. It's definitely worth the time investment to watch it. So I want you guys to do me a favor. If you've seen Akira, watch it again for old time's sake. Get a little nostalgic for me. Get that going. If you haven't seen Akira, you need to watch Akira. That is my recommendation. If there's one anime that you guys take to heart and actually watch that I recommend it, make it Akira. Out of all the videos I've done so far, if you want to go, hey, I can only really watch one of these, watch Akira, because it's that important to not only anime but to people in general. So again, tell me what you guys think if you've seen Akira. If you think I'm wrong in calling it a masterpiece, let me know in the comments. Hit me up on the Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And with all that said, guys, everybody have an awesome day.